Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where I completely forgot that I've not recorded an Animal Crossing episode today, so here we are once again. I'm recording an episode. Make a thumbnail art for today. This time actually by using the actual Animal Crossing thumbnail thing, because I've not done so. I should probably make it for the entire week, to be honest, just to be sure. We had a stream today, and I was just playing some games, some Zenith Zone Zero, mainly 1497. That can't be right. We must be on 1566. I don't know. I'm like super running out of room in 1566. We'll do that in a second. Good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 10:54 p.m. on Sunday, July 7th, 2024. Super running out of room on my hard drive. Like the live stream, like I recorded it. And I actually ran out of room while I was recording it. It was that big. Like the live stream video cut off at 54 gigabytes, and I was like, what? 54 gigabytes? So in total it's actually like 64 gigabytes in the entire thing, but like they're not stitched together, and I was gonna like render it like together using DaVinci Resolve, and then I looked at like the preview of how big the file size had to be, and it said you need a hard drive 400% bigger than the one you have right now to actually render this, and I was like, what? So I have found out that Twitch you can just export the VODs directly to YouTube, which is good. A bit of a shame, because in YouTube I normally have like a little bit of pre-recording before the video actually goes up, where before I actually like start streaming, just like a few seconds, not really much to say, but I guess now I should just like immediately start streaming. So this VOD is like, I can't render this VOD, essentially. I can't stitch the two recordings of it together, and plus the two recordings of it together has a bit missing in the middle, so I'm just like, okay, well this VOD will just be from Twitch, I'm gonna be honest, because there's nothing else I can really do about that. It just like straight up will not, it's straight up too large for me to like stitch together, so yeah, if anything, this is even more motivation for me to get a drive, just solely dedicated to holding videos or something, especially if they can get this big. It's not 11 p.m. yet, so we can still do stuff at Harv's Island, so let's go now. But yeah, I guess I'll talk about stuff that I did yesterday. Excuse me. New stream art as well, a new thumbnail stream art, which you'll see next week, or you can see on the VOD today if you really want to. It's a fun one, I think. It's certainly a lot more of a, I don't know how I would describe it necessarily. Flirty? I'm not sure flirty is the right word one compared to the previous stream arts. We've tapped into a lot of different sort of aesthetics, because I want to sort of like get a range of things where we start repeating aesthetics. You know, we had like a pretty cute one as the test run, and then we had like a pretty like cool like melancholic one, and then we had a very sort of like whimsical one, and then we had like a fun one, and now we've got much more like a, I don't know, sexy, flirty one. is that the way to describe it? Then I don't know what the next one's going to be. It's just fun. It's just fun doing like these one-off ones and sort of seeing what happens. But yeah, I was going to talk about what I did yesterday, which was we went to London. We watched Inside Out 2, which I talked about yesterday. It's honestly a great movie. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Mainly because I think like Anxiety is just like a really, really good character. Like obviously Anxiety as like a whole is not a great as a concept. Like it's not a great thing as a like actual thing. But her role in Inside Out 2 is actually really, really like well done. I think it's well portrayed. It was very, as I say, a very engaging antagonist, a very likable antagonist in my opinion, but you know, your mileage may vary. But no, the other thing we did, we watched Inside Out 2, and then like we just like, you know, chilled around London for a little bit, but then we went to a restaurant. It was an interesting restaurant. It was not one that I'd ever heard of, but my friends booked, you know, they booked when I was like, I don't even know what I was doing or something, but they were basically looking up like fun restaurant style experiences, things to do. There's two restaurants I found. One of them was is in London. It's like a blind restaurant where basically all the servers, I believe, are blind, and you are essentially eating completely in the dark, which I actually had heard about before. I don't know what it's called, and I've never been to it, but it sounds like a cool experience. But this one was a different one. This one, it was I guess I describe it by the fact that you're eating off a computer, like a television, kind of like a touchscreen, a tablet. It was we signed up for like a buffet thing, for like Pan Asian buffet. And I'll give you a quick overview of the food. How was the food? It was fine. it was nothing amazing. There was a heck of a lot of fried things, which are always like fine. But they have, if you go there, the pork belly and lettuce is the best thing on the buffet menu. The rest of it is fine. It's just order it if you're like mildly interested in it. But I would say yakisoba, surprisingly flavorless, is what I'd say. But again, it's sort of buffet style food, a lot of it, so it's not meant to be like super high quality. It's meant to be cheap or whatever. But you're there for like an hour and a half, and you can order as much as you want. Actually, it's a little bit tricksy because it's like you can order 3 dishes per person, but you can only order the next one once you've finished most of those dishes. And we were like, all right, that's fine, and we order it. But then like the service is just like very, very slow. It takes like we basically ate not as fast as we could, but like pretty darn fast, and we could only get 3 order servings in. Like we could only order 3 times because in about 1.5 hours, because it took like 30 minutes for anything. So it was like, okay, fair enough, I guess. I guess that's a way to to certainly make sure that your the buffet doesn't bleed too much money. But yeah, then the other major thing about it was like that all their tables are basically these giant tablets which you can like interact with, and the way they sold it is like you can play games with each other, and you basically eat off of them as well. So imagine you just got like a giant LCD TV like laid with like a glass screen, I suppose, rather than like the squishy screen, whatever it's called. And it's like upright, and it's a tablet, I suppose, that you can interact with at the same time. So you order food from it, and then you also like can play games and do apps on it. And I was like, okay, that sounds like an interesting concept. At least I'd be willing to give it a try, and we gave it a try. Ordering food off it is fine, I would say. Like, it's not like ordering food from a tablet is outrageous. We've seen it a lot. I would say certainly a bit more inconvenient when you have a lot of dishes and stuff on the table itself to be eating off of, to like actually try and order food at the same time. And the tablet thing, I guess my overarching review of it is it has potential to be kind of cool, but there's things which sort of like are caveats to it. One, the selection of games and apps on it were like not like amazing. Like the most fun game we found was like curling. 2, it's like not the most responsive thing in the world. Like, it's like a little bit hard sometimes. Like, one of my friends I can't remember what game we were playing. We were trying to do like this archery shooting one together, and he just like could not fire anything on it because it just wouldn't recognize his inputs. And 3, because you're eating off it, it gets like really dirty, like really quite quickly. So it's, your fingers become very sticky. I felt like, I'm gonna be honest, I felt like a little bit gross with my hands afterwards, like after eating and like interacting with it. So at the end of the day, I would say it's an interesting gimmick, which maybe has some potential, but at the end of the day, it's a gimmick. It's not really like substantial enough. Like, the food isn't great enough for it to be like an amazing restaurant, and the gimmick isn't strong enough. I personally think for it to be like, whoa, that's cool. I think if you had kids vote, it would be an absolute hit. I think kids would love this sort of thing, you know, because kids would find it like endlessly amusing, and they're sort of like, I feel like kids can get a lot of joy out of much more simpler games, but you know, as an adult, I suppose who plays basic games basically every single day, I'm sort of like, Pong isn't really doing it for me, to be honest. Unresponsive Pong on a dirty countertop. Like, I can't explain enough how cool, I guess, a concept it feels like it should be. Like, it feels like something straight out, like a future prediction of a future. Like, oh man, in the future we're all going to eat off TV screens and use that to do whatever. But it really doesn't work in practicality. I don't know like what apps it would need on it for it to be much more engaging, but basically all the apps on it felt like sort of like apps you would find on like on a demo store or something. Like, you go into, I don't know, an electronics store, and they all have like free apps loaded on, like the Sketch app, the camera, and like a very simple version of Breakout or something. And it's like, okay, like it's fine, but it's like also like 3 or 4 different variations of Pong on there, all counted as different games. Like, I was playing it, and like Like I can't remember what game I was playing. I was playing one of them. It was basically like I looked at it and I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like Osu, and I was playing it, and it is kind of like Osu. You hit a tablet, except for there's no like music, there's no sense of rhythm. It's just things appear and you click on them. And I was playing it and I was like, I feel like I'm a cat right now or something. Like I feel like, isn't this like sort of like recreation you might give to like a child to like train their hand-eye coordination or something? It's like everything just felt like it was I suppose like a demo in a sense. Oh, I also thought now that because the thumbnail art's out, my outfit now makes sense in Animal Crossing. We did it. It just, everything felt like a gimmick. So, you know, I mean, go there if you want, like have a bit of fun. Like it definitely strikes me as something that would be much more fun as a bar rather than a restaurant. Like, okay, it was two caps here. One, it's an amazing family restaurant. Like, you as an adult might find, like, interesting, fun, amusing gimmicks in it, but kids would absolutely go crazy for it. I know myself, like, maybe 12 and younger, would go absolutely bonkers for this. I'd be like, whoa, this is the future, this is so cool. Me, as an adult, goes like, hey, you know, bold concept. The other direction is, if it was just a bar, it would be a pretty sick bar, you know. If it was something which, like, the tables would have to be like cleaned and maintained really regularly, which I think is quite difficult to do, like, as a tall ask for servers or cleaners to do so. But then, like, imagine that, like, you just, like, it's basically like an arcade bar, I suppose, except for it's like inconsequential for you spill a drink, I suppose, on the table, because it's like got on a glass screen, it just like wipes right off, and you can play theoretically a variety of games on it. And like, I've been to barcades, well, yeah, I've been to a couple of barcades before. They're like fun. I'm not like crazy for them or anything. Mainly because I think I don't find arcade games, that many of the arcade games, that fun. The ones I find like fun are like the carnival arcade games, which maybe sounds a bit silly to say. But things where, not like the basketball one, but things like the basketball one, but not the basketball one in particular. But it was like, oh, you know, like knock the clowns over, or like chuck stuff like that, I suppose. Physical arcade games, I suppose. Things like Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, Double Bubble. Double Bubble is my favourite of all of them, but even then I don't find it that, like, crazy engaging. No idea what you're saying, Audie, but sure. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like, I don't know what to think of it. Like, how do they describe, I can't even remember what the restaurant's called. A restaurant, I don't really want to call it out. I think this is what it's called. Interactive table service technology. Oh, another crazy thing as well is we ordered, like, the menu is straight up like catfishing almost. Like, you click the menu and we were like, whoa, look at this one, it's like a dragon sushi, like it looks like a dragon. We order it and it's 4 pieces of sushi which like don't look like a dragon, and we were like, oh, okay, I guess, I mean, fair. But I was like, this image is kind of a cute part, isn't it? It's just like an interesting concept, which I think, I mean, it says it's a restaurant and bar, which is fair enough. I think this would absolutely kill as a bar, but I think as a restaurant, it's a bit like, not for me, exactly. And games rooms. I'm trying to remember what other sort of games they had on it. Oh, the games rooms are different. It's actually like a private barcade. You know, fair enough. I want like pictures. Gallery? Because I remember what games they had. They had like a Space Invader, like a cooperative Space Invaders. This is another thing, because you sat, a normal way you sit at a table would be like 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other side. But if any other games, like the Space Invaders things, requires you to be all of you on one side, how do you play that game? You can't. Like, one of my friends was on the other side, and we were playing 3-person Space Invaders, essentially. One, you're all in this like restricted to this tiny area moving things, so like you steal each other's like inputs very easily. And 2, my friend basically has to reach across the entire table to even play, which is super, like, not great. And, like, it works for when you're playing, like, Pong or something, like, against each other or across the table. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, what games would there have to be for me to be like, yeah, this is, like, boring. I'm not really sure. I'm also surprised they didn't have, like, an app which was, like, an interactive, like, exhibit sort of thing, you know, like a aquarium with like fish swimming around, and you can like tap it and it would like do ripples on the water, like an interactive wallpaper. Because that seems like it would be like, oh, you know, the food comes, quickly switch to that interactive wallpaper, and then it's just like it's just like a fun wallpaper table or something. But There was another one actually. You know, one of the better ones we thought. Like I can see the ones in this promotional image. There's this plane flying one where planes come in and you drive them onto a runway. I think a recurring theme throughout all the games in the apps was like you play them for 5 seconds. It was like, right, I can see exactly how this game goes, and I think I've experienced the entirety of a gameplay loop. But one of them, which is actually, you know, surprisingly, you know, more amusing, I think, to do, was actually just the puzzle. It was basically just straight up a puzzle, where you just put a puzzle together. And as my friend said, is like this one makes much more sense because when food comes, you can, you know, it's very easy to stop doing a puzzle, eat some food, and then continue. Or like it's like it's not something which you have to actively be playing, because you can't. It's difficult to actively be playing and also using chopsticks to pick up sushi at the same time. And the other one, which was like a drawing app, was fine as well. Pretty difficult to do any like notable drawing on it unless you really want to spend some time on it. But it has an interesting interface as well, where you could split it up. Like you could either use the entire table as one thing, or you could split it up into quarters. It's again, it's fun for a gimmick. Would I go there for food? No. Would I go there for experience again? Nah, not really. It's just an interesting enough gimmick, which I think it just needs a bit more polish. And then for me, I'd be like, yeah, that's it. But maybe that's because we had the buffet food. Maybe if you had the actual genuine food, it would be a lot better. But I don't know. Who am I to say? So yeah, I don't know. Interactive tables turns out not very convenient, especially as for a food table. In case like any food actually gets on the table, that's a little bit difficult to swing or do stuff with. Oh, hello, Amelia. What can I do for you? Oh, you want to give me something? Sure, why not? Perfection, a football. Thank you so much, Amelia. Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? I don't remember anymore. Okay, well, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to say about the place. I don't know. It feels like I also needed a table to actually like store my stuff in. Like the plates were like all over the table, made it rather difficult. It was actually beneficial that we only had 3 people on a 4-person table, because we could either use that spare space to play a game, or we put like all our plates stacked up on there. I mean, to be fair, I think we were decently busy as well, so you know that's probably why things were a little bit slow. But yeah, I don't know. Would I recommend going there? Yeah, I don't know, why not? Give it a shot. It's just a bit of fun. But yeah, I don't really have anything else that came to mind. Just sort of like it was just like an interesting experience, is what I can really say. Worth it? Yeah, I'd say worth it enough to like try it once. I'm all for these interesting dining experiences, to be perfectly honest. But the experience itself, I think, is more interesting than the food sometimes. Not all the time. As I often say, I'm not a foodie, but I can appreciate good food, I suppose. It's just not the most important thing to me. This one is just like I think it's I don't know, it's not quite to my tastes. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode up here, I think. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.